Hello, and welcome to the Get Lean and Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin. I'm a certified health coach, trainer, and author. And this podcast is for middle-aged men and women looking to optimize their health and get their bodies back to what it once was 10 to 15 years ago. I will give you simple, actionable items to get long-term sustainable results. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. All right. Welcome to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. My name is Brian Grin, and I hope you're having a great day. Today, we're going to talk about a very relevant question that I get a lot. What do you eat during your days of intermittent fasting? Well, I pretty much fast every day. So I'm going to just go through, what I eat, but also what I inform my clients to eat as well. It's definitely not a one size fit all. And essentially, if you're doing some type of fasting, that's a good place to start. But eating clean and eating the way I talk about today can really help with fasting, making it easier and more effective. So I would say a good goal is to have 2 meals a day. I think that was something that took me a while to get to. I think even when I started fasting and doing 16-8, where I would I'd start my meals around noon and be done around 7 or 8. Um, I was like, well, should I have 3 meals, 2 meals, 1 meal? Who knows? And I think for a while I did 3 meals, but I just felt like I was like just trying to fit it in and I just wasn't as hungry. You're going to find that when you do fasting that you're just not as hungry. So a good friend of mine, Brad Kearns and Mark Sisson came out with a book, 2 Meals a Day. Brilliant idea. And I think that's a good rule of thumb to go by. So that could be any 2 meals, really. Doesn't necessarily have to be lunch and dinner. It could be, excuse me, could be breakfast and lunch. Um, so whatever sort of fits in your schedule and that you're going to be able to do on a consistent basis. So I know dinner is a big meal, like customary meal in America. And so most people want to have dinner with their families. So then you could just do lunch and dinner. But, some people like to be done eating earlier. I don't blame you. If you can be done eating early and don't eat too early in the morning, I think that's a good rule of thumb. So you just want to stay away from the standard American diet that's out there, which is obviously high amounts of processed carbs, grains, industrial meat, and dairy. Um, a lot of times, the modern diet really is a lot of calories with not a lot of nutrition, and we want to sort of reverse that and get foods that are nutrient dense and get rid of those empty calories. So like I mentioned, it's not a one size fits all. This is something that I prefer and that a lot of my clients prefer, but take it for what it is and try to fit it into your life as much as you can. I would say first rule of thumb is cook for yourself. This is something that I've myself and my wife, my new wife, have really gotten into since the quarantine is every meal, pretty much every meal, we cook for ourselves. We buy high quality food and it's just a great way. You know what's going in it. Obviously, less people are eating at restaurants, but a lot of people are ordering in, which is fine if you want to do it every once in a while. But again, what are they cooking in? What ingredients are they putting in that you don't know? So cooking for yourself is a great way to know exactly what you're getting. And yeah, you're not going to, instead of cooking in vegetable oils, you'll be cooking in whatever, coconut oil or fat or tallow or ghee or whatever it is. So makes a big difference, really does. Also, meals containing quality protein should be the basis of every plate that you have. Protein is nutrient dense, and as you age, you want to try to keep those protein levels up because we want to avoid sarcopenia. So if you're working out and building muscle, definitely make sure, even if you're not, make sure that you have quality protein as the staple of each meal. Bone broth is a great is a great way to break your fast. People ask me, well, how do you break your fast? I like to have it maybe with something a little bit lighter. It could be a soup. It could be scrambled eggs, um, you know, avocado. Okay. Some of the other things that I like to have every once in a while. Sometimes I will have full fat dairy every once in a while if it's organic and quality sourced. One of these days I'm gonna have raw milk. Have not had it yet. Occasionally, I have sprouted seeds and nuts. I know some people aren't into nuts, and it could have they don't, they could have a bad reaction, essentially digestive system wise. But for me, every once in a while, I'll splurge on some sprouted nuts. Um, Occasionally, organic veggies. I used to be a big salad guy. It just doesn't do it for me anymore. So not a lot of veggies. I mainly focus on grass-fed, grass-finished meat. Um, have some great places that I order it from. A couple places are like U.S. Wellness Meats or Force of Nature, and there's a lot more companies coming out where they're raising these animals in a humane, sustainable way on agricultural that is not laced with pesticides and things like that, and these animals are able to to roam and live a sustained full life. And this is the type of meat that you want to be eating, not industrialized, where they're in feedlots having corn and soy. So if you could eat grass-fed nose to tail, actually, this past week, I did try some liver. So far on nose to tail, I've tried heart and liver, and I will say I will thank my wife for making it very good. And I thought the taste was fine and the texture was fine. So every once in a while, it's something I will add. Wild caught fish is another big one. Um, yeah, if you can have just a good wild caught salmon, um, I think that's a great way to sort of add a little variety into the diet, along with, if you want to have occasional fruits from time to time, I'm fine with that. If you're going to, I would say probably maybe focus more on like the berries. So occasionally I'll have blueberries, or sometimes, just to splurge, I'll have a banana. Obviously fruit high in fructose gets stored in your liver, and you don't really use it for much. So just be careful with too much fruit. But that is, you know, I would say the basis around how I eat and how a lot of my clients eat. So really, that's also, I don't want to forget avocado. That's a big one too. I like to add that in every once in a while. It is a fruit, but avocado, olives, great ways, even though they're fruits, great ways to sort of add on and add a little variety into the diet. You get a little fiber, and you get some high quality fats as well. So if you could base it around proteins and quality fats, first of all, you're not going to raise your insulin levels much. And secondly, you're going to have a lot of sustained energy, because when you do fast, that's what you want, right? So make sure that also you're cooking in things like avocado oil, ghee, butter, tallow. Try not to cook too much in olive oil at high heats. I would say maybe you can sprinkle olive oil onto some dishes if you want. Occasionally, we'll sprinkle them onto, if we do have some vegetables, we'll do that. But definitely, I would focus on cooking in ghee, butter, obviously grass-fed butter, avocado oil, and things like that. Don't be afraid of saturated fat; it's good for you, and don't overeat. I sometimes run into this with myself, where I just keep going, and even though it's quality food, you just don't want to overdo it. And I would say, if a good rule of thumb is 80% full, and then go from there. I will find that you will find that when you do fasting, you can't eat as much. You just can't. You get full faster, and that's not such a bad thing. So if you can just focus on whole foods, foods that expire, and stay away from those processed carbs, vegetable oils, and things like that, you'll be on the right track. So bottom line, just to take from all this, maximize your nutrient density with high quality proteins, avoid empty calories, eat plenty of protein, eat healthy fats and cook with them, control your blood sugar and insulin by avoiding a higher carb diet all the time. If every once in a while you want to add carbs, maybe you want to add in some sweet potato, um, or some tubers or things like that, that's fine. But I would say, if you could focus a little bit more on the lower carb end of things, that's a good way to go. And drink plenty of water, mineral water. And if you want to add in some tea or black coffee from time to time, go ahead and go for it, especially on some fasting days. So that's pretty much what I eat during a day of intermittent fasting. A ton of variety, and things that are satiating for me. So if let me know if you got any questions regarding that. Remember, it's not a one-size-fit-all thing, and it's something that you want to sort of get into the habit of doing, eating quality, because when you start doing fasting, it's so important to sort of blend the two of them, and it'll make both of them more effective. So anyways, thanks so much for listening. Check out the 21dayfastingchallenge.com if you want to learn a little bit more about intermittent fasting. And let me know if you have any questions. I hope you enjoy this episode and have a great rest of the day. Thanks for listening to the Get Lean, Eat Clean podcast. I understand there are millions of other podcasts out there, and you've chosen to listen to mine, and I appreciate that. Check out the show notes at briangrin.com for everything that was mentioned in this episode. Feel free to subscribe to the podcast and share it with a friend or family member that's looking to get their body back to what it once was. Thanks again, and have a great day.